Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Tell me about how Grandma and Grandpa journeyed to the U.S.
My father came with his brother. His brother was 2.5 years older than he was. He was 16 and my uncle was 18 and a half. They came on a fishing boat and my dad said that was the worst trip that he'd ever made because it was so dirty, and he swore he'd never buy any store-bought fish again, so he became a fisherman.
How about Grandma?
Grandma came as a picture bride, and she was 19. She came in San Francisco and he met her there, and there was a young lady that was on the boat, and when she saw her husband, who was very short and old, she refused to get off the boat. Anyway, so then the men folks would have a picture of their bride, and so they would either wave or whatever, they would get off the boat. Papa was a very handsome, tall man, and she felt very humble because she was this short, ugly lady, which she really wasn't.
No, I don't think she was either.
They did get married. They traveled to Colorado.
What did they do?
One of the businesses was making tofu and aburage and miso. And then the other was a seed company, and he traveled to California because there was a lot of Japanese people living on the coast who were farmers. That was his business from, I think it's San Jose, clear up to the end of the coast there. And they bought seed from my dad, and that went on for many years.
Where did he grow the seed?
Oh, in Colorado. We lived in an old hotel, and that turned into the business part. And downstairs became where they cleaned the seed and all that.
Did Grandpa own his own land?
Yes. My father came very young. When Mom came, he had a pool hall. My mother was very against gambling. Buddhists don't gamble. So she made him close down the pool hall. I think that was when they decided to start the seed company and have a family.
How many siblings did you have?
7 of us that lived, and 2 passed away as babies. I'm the youngest. All my siblings are gone now, except my sister that's older than I am, and she was the 3rd child. She's in her 90s now.
What happened when the war broke out, though?
Was that when my folks started making soy sauce and tofu? Because my dad brought a lot of people, Japanese, so they wouldn't have to go to camp, and found places, and my folks knew a lot of ranchers and farmers, and they would clean out their chicken shed, their horse pens, all of that. And so Mama always gave them would take them miso and all that kind of stuff, and always helped them if they needed it. She always helped the poor.
Did Grandpa have to go to camp?
We didn't have to go to camp because he had his business starting in Colorado. He was able to bring tons and tons of people, so they didn't have to go to camp. And all of them were very grateful.
Do you remember what happened to the seed company during that time? Was he able to keep it open?
No, we had to close it down, but we had it for a long time.
And did any of your siblings have to go to the camps?
My sister had to go because she was married to a fellow that was in the 442nd, and so she had to go to camp down in Arizona. I think it was about 2 years.
And Uncle Kazumi, your oldest brother?
My dad sent him to Japan to learn Japanese so that he could help him in the seed company to go to all the Japanese people to sell seed. And he was caught in the war. They wouldn't let him return because he was an American.
Him and his son and Auntie Mickey, they were caught in Hiroshima?
Yeah, she met Mickey in Hiroshima, and that's where he met his wife.
But they
were
survivors.
able to come back. Mm-hmm. They survived. Some of my father's relatives were killed. And then my dad, he and his brother came to America.
Can you tell me about your childhood growing up?
I was a tomboy. We really had to work hard. I missed school a lot, having to work in the fields. But that was our food. In the beginning, we had 1 pair of shoes, 1 dress, and then my mother was able to make, because she knew how to sew. And so we had 2 dresses. Mama washed every night our clothes by hand for a long time until I found this washing machine in the closet that was always locked. So I opened it, and here was this washing machine in there. She never used because she felt none of the other Japanese had. And then when I found it, then she started using it. But only to wash. She still rinsed in the tub and still hung our clothes outside.
Can you tell me what it was like when you moved into the big city of Denver?
Yeah, we moved to Denver because my sister had beauty schools.
Is that when you met Dad?
Yes. I was in high school there, and I was bowling. He saw me, and he just stopped with this girl that was in college within the same grade. He just stopped and just stared at me, and she knew who I was. And he just wouldn't move, and he just stared at me, and she's, come on. He just stood there. He just watched me, I guess, bowl. He was heavy set. And I wasn't skinny, but I thought, well, yeah, his face had a nice looking face.
But you weren't ready to date him, and he came back to you a few months later skinny. And
Yeah.
that's when you said yes.
And it was quite a while later that I told him, well, I don't have a college education. I only have 2 semesters of college. He said, education doesn't matter. It's who you are.
And you were happily married for how many years? More than 20.
Yeah, it was.
Well, how did we end up in California?
I had this job as a secretary and a receptionist, and because I knew how to take shorthand and use a computer.
What would you say that you're most proud of?
My children. I'm so proud of my parents that they were very stern. That's why I was able to keep going up in my job, is because everything had to be perfect. And so I'm very grateful for the parents that I had. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be who I am. Or that I got this job with this big company and got to travel to Japan and even outside of Japan.
It feels like everything has come full circle for you.
Yes.
Thanks, Mom. That was great.